So, welcome to another exploration in the consciousness with the Earth and Hub. Good morning, ladies. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
That's just me. Good afternoon. And today the topic is luxury and solstice, right? It's an interesting combination. And maybe we're going to kick it off. I've got a question down here. So where does true luxury reside? And how can the solstice, how can the energies of the solstice sort of lead the way or remind us of true luxury? So one of the things we do here is we always out create. We repurpose, not just canvases, but words and energies and all that kind of stuff. And luxury came up, and Lana's actually impulsed it. And it's a very good one to look at. How can we combine it with the solstice? And one of the things when you look at luxury, it's connected with wealth, right? High quality and mainly outer wealth. So how can we look at luxury from inner wealth versus outer wealth? Having said that, how does inner wealth and the alignment to inner wealth and joy and happiness and harmony and success and all of that, how can that lead to the luxury on the outer wealth? So this is just the beginning. So we're looking at luxury and see how we can apply it to solstice. What comes up for you girls when I throw that out?
I'll start. When I think of luxury, I don't think so much even about the wealth. I think of just that careless relaxation. So I don't have a care in the world. I can lean back. I can have a pedicure or a massage, or whatever it is, I don't have to expend the effort. I just get to enjoy it. And so when I think about pairing that with the solstice, I love to celebrate the solstice with a big fire. One that I can put my energy into over time, like building a bonfire, and every time I go to put something in it, that I put a prayer in it at that time, and I put my energy into it at that time, so that on the day where I actually light it, all I have to do is put my chair next to it, have my nice like iced tea or whatever it is that I'm indulging in, from like something cold to drink on a hot day, because like where I live, it's like 95 degrees at the solstice. And I just sit back and I enjoy it. And I connect with the fire, and I don't have to do anything other than just be present and be embodied and enjoy it. And so to me, that's luxury, because I have so much other noise in my daily life that to turn off all the noise and leave the phone inside and just sit by my fire and give thanks to Earth Mother and just be present for it. That is luxury to me. And I love your background because of the fire, like that.
Yes, and that's a shout out to my big brother who's taken that picture and sent it to me some time ago. He's a photographer as well as many other things. Hi, Herminia. Now, what you just explained was the extravaganza of beingness, the isness, the luxury of isness. Fantastic, which leads us straight into where we want to go. And that's, I think if we would put luxury into an AI chat, it would probably not come out that way. But, you know, I think how often do we think of being and relaxing into that kind of outside the norm, because that's still outside the norm, what you've just explained. How can, how often do we actually, I mean, you're a pro, obviously, but not many other people would, associate that with luxury. What do you think?
I think that the simpler it is, the easier it is to enjoy it. And that is luxury, like taking joy in the simple things.
And there is that high quality living, right? Beyond distraction, beyond gratification, beyond, busy. And you are one of our very busy participants. You have, so many different angles in your life that keep you super busy. And it's really nice to hear that you associate luxury with that kind of simplicity. Again, luxury is simplicity, really. Have you ever thought of simplicity as a luxury? Tanya, what is it for you? What comes up for you?
For me, it's sort of a feeling and time and having time, right? To take our time. Right? I love that simplistic, relaxation. To me, one of the things I think when I think the word luxury, I think about like a cat stretched out in the sun on a windowsill. Right. And I think of almost like texture, like like fabrics that have a really wonderful texture, or like being in bed, right, which is just cozy and comfortable and fluffy, and taking the time to be able to sleep as much as you need to sleep. To me, that's very luxurious, drawing a bath, right, that has essential oils or fresh florals, um, just being able to lay back and relax. To me, that co-essence of time and relaxation really equal luxury to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you mentioned comfort, and I think, high quality of or luxuries is often, associated with comfort, but then high form of comfort that leads us back into, extravaganza and that kind of thing, but we are actually turning it to totally upside down, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know luxury is always, typically associated with financial wealth, but there's also, like Jen was talking about, there's a spiritual wealth when you have a mindfulness of going into something, like Jen is talking about, laying the prayers and laying the wood for the fire, and then, she burns it when she's ready to burn it. But you could, say, I just like we have elements today. Martina has the fire, I've got the air, Jen, I'm talking about the water, right? So, maybe there's something in association with Mother Earth and her cycles that allow us to just step back and appreciate the rhythm of life, the cycle of life, right? The sun rising and sun setting. And yeah, that happens every day, right? So you can put that into the ordinary. But when we appreciate it, and when we're mindful about it, about that rhythm, then it takes it to a whole another level, makes it, instead of ordinary, luxurious. The beauty of the sunrise, right? And sitting out when you see that moment where the sun comes up and then everything gets warm and golden, right? And there's such beauty in that. I can't think of anything more luxurious than a sunrise or a sunset to me, right? Because of just the beauty of the colors and the variation. And it's different every time.
And you were saying, yes, the sun comes up every day, but the difference in the solstice is actually that we have the longest day, today or tomorrow, wherever we are situated, located. And not everyone, I wouldn't say has the luxury, takes the luxury to enjoy that or really acknowledge that, which doesn't happen, which only happens twice, right? Well, only once, really, the longest day, or the shortest, at the winter solstice. But there are these markers of celebration and appreciation that a lot of people don't even pay attention, right?
In this particular year, the solstice is the longest day of the year, so we have like the most light.
Mhm.
This year we also have the full moon aligning with it, and so we have our night illuminated by a full moon as well. So it's almost like we stay in the light for this particular solstice.
We staying in the light. Yeah, what a luxury. What a luxury of staying in the light.
It was interesting. A couple of years ago, I traveled to Iceland, or not on the solstice, but around the solstice time. So, and in Iceland, it never got dark. I think I was there like June 17th or something like that. And you would walk out or open the curtains in the middle of the night. And I mean, technically, even though the sun went down, it came up shortly after. So it never really got dark at all. You had sort of like a dusk and then almost like a pre-dawn happening concurrently. And then all of a sudden the sun's up again. So it was a really interesting place to be during that time because it kind of reminds me of Vegas in a way, because when you're in one of those casinos, you can't tell what time of day it is. And that's sort of how it was in Iceland also. You couldn't tell what time of day it really was because it never fully darkened.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of contrast there, though. So I've been to Alaska in the summertime at the solstice, and it's the same way. So I've experienced that. But that's like a natural way. I still could feel my circadian rhythm in that. In a casino, like you're so removed and like there's so many filters to disconnect you from the natural world outside. Like it's the same, but very different energetically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I guess my point was that it can throw off your circadian rhythm, right?
And either Vegas or Iceland or Alaska or whatever, it is an invitation to make the global narrative irrelevant.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Amelia. And this is also a part of what we can call a luxury, right? And to put our growth first and make everything else irrelevant. Now, some people would call that egotistical, but those who know would know that this is actually part of a luxury that we can choose, right?
Well, and it picks you up and pulls you out of time in a way, right? And I think the solstice can do that as well, right? Because we have an energetic, portal energy on that day that allows us to hold a certain energetic resonance or blend with the energetic resonance of that solstice on Earth.
Exactly. Now, Herminia, I saw that you were driving. Are you ready to chat, to chime in?
No, she's muted again.
I'm sorry. I'll turn in a little bit.
Okay,
I
okay,
just came
okay.
here
I
to
didn't
the
want to cut you off.
airport.
I just didn't know where you were. Okay, cool.
Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah, no worries at all. No, I mean that kind of luxury we're talking about is obviously the treasures of the heart and the soul, and this is like that soul talk coming through, and this is obviously what's happening in this whole process of awakening, that we're starting to talk more and more about the soul without actually, I don't know, do you find this as well, that more and more people talk about the soul and living as a soul and sort of coming into alignment with the soul, and it's no longer a weird talk? Do you think that more and more people are actually feeling more comfortable with the luxury that they have a soul?
I think
I
that
mean, I think, go ahead. I don't have a complete thought right yet.
different stages of awareness, and I think we've talked about this before. Some people say the words because they hear the words, but they haven't fully felt the words yet, so they're not getting to experience the joy of what that means yet. And then there are people that are more developed in that cycle of really getting to understand what they are as a soul and a body, instead of just the body having a soul. So I see it in different stages.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm not, the conversation I think happens with some people, but not, not as many. In looking at, in looking at all of the stuff going on around David, my husband's brother's death, right? And looking at, all of the cards coming in and the way that people are talking about it, right? I mean, he's not gone. He's in the unseen, right? Doing stuff, right? Getting some upgrades, and he's going to be, working on, helping me with my work, and he's, has planned more lifetimes to come in. So, when we're talking about the soul, right? Was that his soul aspect that he connected to, or was it even a higher harmonic energy, right? Like the oversoul or the avatar or the rishi, is that all of those parts of us line up to our direct connection with source. So I think that, like Jen said, even though the concept is one that people know, maybe there's not a knowingness there yet. So the difference between knowing in your head and your mind and knowing in your heart, right, is a very different experience.
Picking up off of what you were talking about with your brother-in-law, I had a dream Saturday night, which at first really I guess it helped me go through the grief stage that I hadn't really experienced. I had a rough day Sunday, but when I really got to looking at it, so I had this dream where, my dog Bango died in February of lymphoma. It took him really fast. And so he came to me in that dream in a very surprising way that I won't go into, but like he was so excited to see me, and he jumped into my arms, and I could feel him. It was so real. I could smell his smell. I could feel his cold, wet nose all over me. I could feel his muscles move. Like I savored everything that I could take in that dream of being able to hold him. And like when I woke up and he wasn't there, it was really hard. But then as I had some time to process the emotion of it, like he's figured out how to spend time with me in my dream time in a very real way. And the luxury of that, like being able to witness that I can still spend time with him, not just getting to go for a walk or something in dreams, but to really feel him and feel that physical presence of him, was a luxury that I'm very grateful for. I wasn't expecting that. That was really special.
I love
I
that.
can still feel him. Like I can pull that physical memory up now. Like I can recall it to feel that.
That's the luxury of knowing. There's a luxury for me. There's a luxury in understanding how reality works. That for me, that is a luxury, because that takes out so many worries and fears, and that introduction of the celestial medium journey, that understanding what that even means, to be able to carry on in other dimensions, on other timelines, in having different forms, different versions, different shards, all of that. For me, that is wisdom, is such a luxury for me. Wisdom, because that is wisdom. That is a knowingness. That is a learning that we learned, that we heard before. Then we resonated with it. We aligned with it. We turned that knowingness into wisdom. And then after that, it becomes a luxury. Yes, it is the norm, but not for others. But it is my personal luxury to know that, to put me at ease, to make me comfortable, to make me feel comfortable. I don't have these experiences, because if you can't appreciate that that is a possibility, then it's difficult to actually experience that from a perceptual perspective. Wouldn't you say so?
Definitely. I mean, if all you see is here, what's right in front of you, then you're going to look at that information in a very different way, right? You're not being able to feel or see into the unseen, or maybe you are, but just can't accept that that's what you're looking at, right? It brings you, into a state of, I don't know, there's almost like, okay, here's the unseen above, like here above, right? And here's everything else that's seen, right? I think it would cause one to search in a way with not acknowledging that other 90% of the iceberg. Like how much can you really dive into, the 10%? And maybe this also goes back to the discussion we were having last week about the DNA code, right? And it's that 10% of the DNA that is the amino acid strand, right? That gives you the sequence that determines your traits. But there's still all of that unexplored, right? And maybe it is luxurious to be able to have an awareness and explore those spaces and trust what you're feeling and what you're hearing and what you're seeing. Trusting yourself and your intuition. There is a luxury in that too. Like
there is a luxury in losing one's mind, right? In losing the old mind, to allowing yourself to lose the old mind, because the universe is mental. So as you let go of your old paradigm mind, you start connecting to the universal mind directly, that kind of thing. So, and everything is exponentializing from there. So the more we let go, and this is that oxymoron, the more we let go of what we know, the greater the possibilities become and the potential, right? This is this thing about education. The education has not, and this sounds weird now because we're talking about knowingness and education. This is a very different thing, right? Education and knowingness is a very different thing. And we're not going to go into this now, but there's a luxury obviously to be educated as well, but then there's so many different levels of that. Yeah.
Well, it's just that cycle. You have to learn it and then unlearn it, learn it and then unlearn it, learn it and then unlearn it. Because the more that you are able to identify what things are in your environment and then let go of what your perception of what they are is, and you open it up to all the possibilities of what it can be.
And how difficult or how easy is it for people to do that? Oh, not people, us, Yeah.
It's hard at first, but the more you let go of your attachment to it, it becomes easy. If you just keep that openness to whatever is possible, then it becomes very easy.
And I think it's a process too. Sometimes you're not able to do that, and sometimes it's easier. Sometimes there's times when you need, if you're busy or you have doing a big project, you need a structure maybe that you can play within, right? And then once you create that structure, there's a new container.
I like that actually, because out creating your structure doesn't mean that you don't have a structure. You have a new container, you have new the paradigm shift, you have new grid line, even the grid lines. I just listened to an interesting little clip somewhere that was saying that the entire grid, Earth's grid, is being redeveloped, and this is where all the dragons are being brought back in, because they were obviously the reality creators, and there was something mentioned about the energy of the lower timelines is used to create that new grid. Interesting, isn't it?
I haven't heard
Well,
about
I
it
think,
before. Go ahead, Tanya.
yeah, I think that, yeah, this concept has been coming up for me a lot lately also. And it's just that image of an Etch-a-Sketch, you know, the little, do you guys know what that is? It's a little children's toy that's almost like a sand table, and you draw with little knobs. And then when you're done, you shake it
Mm-hmm.
and all those lines fall away. And that seems to me what's happening with the Earth grid system right now, that the ley lines are realigning to support the higher harmonic energy.
And I saw
And-
that coincide with when the poles were flipping and we saw that magnetic north had changed.
Mhm.
Or was
Mhm.
it months ago or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. As that energy shakes. So is it that is it that the energy of the grid is shaking and shifting the ley lines in you know, this particular dimensional reality? Or is it that we're all moving to the higher frequency dimensional reality that is so the grid lines aren't the same in that harmonic? You know, I'm not sure.
That's what I've heard that lady, and I can't remember her name now, so talk about that is completely it's completely rearranging, you know.
Mhm.
But you know, I think this energy, and it's not just the 20 or the 21st of June, obviously. I mean, this energy, the explosion of those solar flares and energies has been going on for a long time now, you know. And obviously now with the solstice, we have they call it like a triple gateway. We've got the Earth and the Sun, and then the Milky Way all aligning. And I think alignment is in itself the luxury of, this is the word, really, alignment. Because if we are being aligned to not to any rules, not to any structures, just to our joy on a very simplistic flip. If you are joyful, whatever you're doing, and even if you're not doing anything, if that brings you joy, then this opens you up to the luxury that is available to you.
Mhm.
So where do we want to take this further?
Going back to the topic of solstice, because luxury is any time, but solstice is only twice a year.
Good point. Yeah.
The summer solstice to me is like that celebration of life, because summertime is when everything is in its full swing. Everything is fully alive. All the trees are out with their leaves. The flowers are bloomed. The vegetable garden is going well. Nothing's hibernating. Like everything is showing its experience of life. Whereas, you know, at the winter solstice is more things going in like to a dormancy or a death state. So summer solstice is a celebration of life. So how do we harness that and then indulge in the luxury of being alive? Is the energy of the week for me.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we talked already about fire. So lots of people use fires to burn off the dross, right? And then invite in the new sort of fire, the new sort of reflection or rejuvenation, or, you know, possibilities for growth and things like that. That's one
Fire
of
does that because, you know, like I'll burn like a bonfire in an area of my yard that doesn't have any grass growing. But as soon as you burn that and then the ash settles in and cools off, the grass will fill it in like a week. It's amazing what that ash will do for creating viable soil for the grass to grow in. Because you can take a dead spot in the grass, burn a fire, and then grass will fill in. So the fire itself brings life. It takes it and then it gives it.
Mm-hmm.
Regenerator,
Mm.
transmuter.
What is it you do, Tanya?
For the solstice, usually what I'll do is I'll make a crystal grid. Sometimes I'll burn a fire. I've been, I'll probably make some prayer bundles, in the next couple days. So we have a lot of fruit trees in our yard, and when those get trimmed at the beginning of the year, I save the wood and make the wood into, prayer bundles, right? Saying prayers and setting intentions and then letting them dry out over time. And so I'll probably make some this week to burn actually at the winter solstice. So as not trying to get the cart before the horse here, but I've already made, on the last winter solstice and the equinox, made bundles to burn for the summer solstice. So it's like all that's come before, through the last 6 months, right? It gets put in the fire and transmuted.
I like that, making them at the different poles, because it's bringing that pole to the now. Like you're flipping your own.
Right. So acknowledging, right, all of the upgrades that have happened over the last, 3 months, over the last 6 months, all of the energetic shifting, right, honoring my own up leveling and continued expanding awareness, right, and being able to ask for help also with my spirit team on that. And insight.
This is all what we initially, when we started off, this is all part of the inner wealth, when it comes to, talking about luxury and things like that. There's something you guys talk about, calendar, Tanya, you talk about, that's calendar magic, I, a couple of years ago, when I heard that, I think it was through AB for the first time, I started just an Excel sheet, just starting to write down all the significant, events of the year, basically. And I've sort of continued doing that. And the point of doing that is really because everything is so fast now, and it's getting faster and faster. And so many things do happen, and we forget to acknowledge them. Because time came in as a luxury in the beginning, right? Because we don't take the time, or we're getting too distracted with our own issues, worries, or other people's issues and worries, isn't it? So calendar magic, just start writing things down to acknowledge it, because at the end of the day, I think we're all doing so much naturally, unconsciously, subconsciously. So bringing it into our awareness is part of the luxury.
There's always something to do, right? If you, living at home, working from my home, there's always something around the house to do, right? That says, I think we've been really conditioned to do. But when we take those moments of being, right, and then appreciate either what we've done or just appreciate, anything around us, it can be that really delicious coffee, right? Sitting and sipping, the coffee or the tea that you make for yourself every day, instead of just going, okay, I'm going to drink that coffee and now I've got to work, right? Or now I've got to do this or that. Taking the time to savor it and to have that moment you know, between you and this thing that's alchemizing in your body, right? I think you can expand time in that moment by just sitting and appreciating, right? And then, you know, once you've done that, okay, then run and do your things, right? But it's those little moments, I think, of mindfulness and taking the time to appreciate, you know, the things that are right in front of you that are markers on the calendar, right? That are acknowledgments of the magic that flow through all of us, that flow through Earth and, you know, the Earth and the sun and the solar system and the galaxy and, you know, our neighboring galaxies and the universe. You know, we're always bringing in information. But when we take the time to say, hey, wait a minute, it's almost like that difference we've talked about previously between the wave and the particle, right? The savoring and the mindfulness in that moment makes that moment a snapshot, right? Of beauty and luxury and mindfulness and appreciation that gives us a pause. So we can then springboard onto whatever's next.
Mhm.
And of course, that's where the body comes in, right? Because without a body, we can't appreciate any of those luxurious, extraordinary elegances, you know, and extravagances, you know. And this is that I think solstice is another opportunity to really acknowledge our bodies, to really acknowledge the illusion of it. And that's absolutely fine because it feels good and it smells good and it tastes good. And, you know, and just that, just being alive, what a luxury to just be alive, right? And we're
Yeah.
getting so, aren't we all getting so much, you know, like almost requests now for other species to want to be a part of that luxury. You know, it's like, you know, we all talk about our aliens, and there's one side that says, okay, well, they want to take over, and then there's the other side that, you know, they said that they don't exist. But in reality, what if they want to join us? Because it's actually such a cool thing to live on this planet. And there was a time where that wasn't possible because of the energetics. But now with the earth having shifted, we can actually invite them. They're coming through everywhere. You know, through the paintings, through Jennifer's paintings. Every time we see all this, you know, the sentience is coming through. Then we see the clouds, the stones. I mean, there is no such thing as I can't even look outside anymore not seeing something that nobody else or somebody else wouldn't acknowledge as that.
Yeah. And taking the time, making the effort, right, to be mindful and appreciate.
Mm.
Yeah. That feeling, you know, stretching out in the sun. Now that it's summer, harder to do in the Southern Hemisphere unless you live in a tropical place. But allowing yourself to feel that energy, feel the warmth. Yeah.
You only get to do in a body. You know, a lot of people are so insistent on like, well, this is going to be my last time on earth, or I'm so tired of being in a body, I'm not going to incarnate anymore. But being in the body is where all the action happens. You know, like floating in the ethers may be a luxury when you don't get to do it all the time, but when that's all you do, how quickly does that become nothing anymore? Being in a body, we get to see colors and we get choice in what we experience. And yes, some people have a more difficult experience than others, but a lot of an individual's experience is how they choose to look at it. You know, we started the conversation saying that most people don't look at being able to slow down and enjoy the simple things as being luxury. A lot of people think of being luxury as money and having a fancy car and being able to stay in a fancy place and going out for fancy dinners and having diamonds and fur coats and things like that. But what do you really enjoy in that moment? Do you know what I mean? If you're only striving for that and looking for that as luxury, then you're never really satisfied and you're always chasing something.
Mm.
But the luxury really is not in chasing anything anymore, but being able to appreciate what's immediately in front of you. Yes, the sun rises every morning. If you become complacent to that, then you don't get to experience the joy of it. But if you decide that you're going to get up every morning in time to watch the sunrise while you go on a morning walk, then every day you've given yourself the gift of something beautiful, a luxury. So it really becomes choice in how you choose to spend your time in this body. And I choose
Interesting that
every day.
the crystal card that came up for our group today is hemimorphite, which it has to do with
And that,
connecting into the egoless state. And I like what you're saying in relation to that, Jen, because it's like going out for fancy dinners and staying in a fancy hotel, like, okay, that's great. But if you're doing it to show off, right, to show people how rich you are, that's a very different experience than just appreciating it, you know, in that moment for exactly what it is.
I think this is a good one to actually mention, because luxury in the old way is very much, you know, sort of associated with superiority, you know, and there is a competitive edge to that competition. And I think it's becoming clearer and clearer, for some at least, that authenticity and doing what you love and what you find joyful has nothing to do with competition anymore, right? It's even like, I've always thought when I was you know, I was working with young tennis players to professional tennis players playing, and I said, let's just think beyond competition. Of course they looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And their coaches as well. I said, it's just two people enjoying themselves whilst they play, with completely different, you know, handicaps, with completely different capacities, and almost to the extent that you can appreciate when your opponent has a good shot, makes a good shot, right? I mean, what kind of game? Because people say, oh, yeah, that without competition, there is no game, there is no tournaments. That's not true. You can have much better, you know, co-creative plays when we start looking along those lines. That was a couple of years ago. It's obviously ahead of the game as usual, but you know, yeah. And this is why I like Kyrgios, because he doesn't even do competition. He does not even understand that. I mean, he competes with himself, obviously, but you know, that's a different story. But he just does whatever he likes when he likes it.
you know,
Yeah.
I use that in my business too, because you know, like we compete for contracts, right? For work that we do on the engineering side of things. And so I align us with the groups that are winning work, so that I take a competitor and make them a teaming partner, then we all win something. But you
Exactly.
have to have that you don't give a shit about hierarchy or competition or anybody being in it better than anybody else. You just all want to do, like, serve the best for the project or for the client. And when you have that mindset, everybody gets a little piece of it.
Yeah.
And it's always enough.
Yeah.
I like that, Jen.
I mean, you come in if you can talk now. What's your take on luxury?
No, just hold on. Let me see if I can. Hello, could you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, go. Let me load the volume. Any case, I said that I liked that what Jen was talking about now about the instead of competition, collaboration. And it's very interesting because I was reviewing some material from the Gene Keys that where they mentioned that we are having condition living in competition economic societies, and now we are becoming a collaboration society because it's like you said, Martina, even that two players, one going to win and the other going to lose the game. However, the matter has somebody that is playing for you to success in you. I guess your reward that you get become the champion or whatever. The other person playing that game has to be there for you to be able to style, right? Because nobody can do anything alone. And I think if when we start looking things like that, instead to how they call attached to the result and not just playing the moment, is like what causes so much suffering from my point of view. Because unfortunately we have been conditional that we have to be in this competition race that I'm the best, and in company in all levels, even in family members we can see that sometimes the kids are competing one another to show to the parents or the family that which one is the best, unfortunately.
I mean, do you know that's the luxury of actually having collaborators, or some people call, friends or family, the luxury of relationships. Very true. It is a luxury, because how many people actually struggle big time with relationships?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the biggest luxury in a relationship this is a book title. It was like, if you love yourself, it doesn't matter who you marry.
Mm-hmm.
I love that title, and I worked all my 26 years along those lines, just towards that.
Mm-hmm.
And what a luxury once you're at that level where it actually starts ringing true for you.
Yes.
This is another thing. Luxury is not something that you don't have to work for. Okay? Even though we talk about the simplicity and all of that, there is an enthusiastic effort that goes into that, like with everything. Yeah, it's like you can be aligned with whatever teaching, whatever person, but there still has to be an action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but enthusiastic effort, action is very different to hardship that we are now moving away from.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Good one.
I know myself that sometimes thinking about it, that we have this condition that how much I value myself sometimes doesn't value if I take the afternoon doing nothing. I feel like this girl today at night that, oh my God, I didn't accomplish much today. Oh, I was supposed to do this, I didn't do it. And it's like trying to force myself to go to the position. It's okay, you can finish that tomorrow. Let's say yesterday I went in the patio and did like a fire without no meaning, without any purpose, just to see the smoke coming out in the air, to be connected, and then that's make me joyous. And then last night, I look in the patio and I saw those little tiny lucerne, the one that had a light at night, one of those little insects, and there was so much in the patio. It was so many, and it was sparkling lights. Oh my God, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it that you are here, spending the yard and and the lake. And then it was like a moment, oh my God, I'm really happy, because in that moment I just was feeling surrounded by the nature, what was in the moment. And then after that, I was able to work a little couple hours, but I managed myself to give me permission to enjoy that simple thing that gave me so much joy. It's amazing that I had to challenge myself to allow to do that.
Yeah, and also I think this is where the solstice comes back in again, teaching us, reminding us of the cyclical nature of effort, of enthusiastic effort. You know, it's like the sun doesn't stay up every day for that.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like is that cyclical nature of everything.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. I mean, certainly for me, what I had to learn over the years is when there is this resting period, just nothing happens. Nothing
Mhm.
happens. And I'm like, okay, now I've got to choose. What can I choose? What can I choose? What can I choose? And you get all crazy and free willy and all that kind of thing. And
Mm.
in reality, it's like, no, there's nothing. What if there's nothing for you to do? What if there's for you to just, you know, revel in the luxury of doing nothing?
Mhm.
That does so much more. And this is where the knowingness and the knowingness about reality comes back in, because you seemingly not doing anything here right now in that moment. But what are
Yeah.
your shards, your other soul shards doing?
Mhm.
And you as the avatar, sometimes you need to hold it all together. So this is the resting period for you so that they cannot go out there, do their thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening the frog, you know, the croak, 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 and then, and just the sound, just to go inside in that sound, or the creak, 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 all those little being in the jar at night. It's like, wow, imagine. And it's so much the difference between the season and another one, because in the winter the snow is so peaceful, silent, suspension, that nothing, almost like everything is just in suspense. And then now in the summer, spring brings different birds and different little creature in the patio. And, you know, the chick monkey. So many stuff that, and I was thinking about that. Oh my God, what's so much different and between one time and the other time? It's just like every season bring this magic and all this being that take the role playing in that moment, because those little insects that like their I call them lucerna. I don't remember what then in English, but they, you know, they spark in the dark at night, and you see all those, yeah, you see all those sparking light, and you see the frog, and then so much and you see the bees, the butterfly. It's so many little different creatures that come into take action in those moments that we experience this season between the spring and the summer. And then it's just like I was, oh my God, I gotta pay more attention to what is little animal, what little is for me. It's not even calling animal, it's just calling experience of beings experience, and coming to a specific time, and you can feel the creak 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 at night, and then it's like an orchestra, like
It is an orchestra, yeah.
yeah. And it's sometimes I put attention, say, oh my God, look at that. And he said the frog is sounding to the side and the crick in the side. And hummingbird coming in the afternoon, in the morning. It's like, wow. And my perception was, I can imagine who is orchestrating all this, because it's in a specific time of the year. And everyone like coming to play their own, you know, like the orchestra, like the one that coming with the piano, and the one that coming with the harp, and the other one that coming with, you know, the trumpet. It's like a natural orchestra. It's the way like how I feel it, and it's so magical. However, my point of view that we get so much involved in this demanding society that we don't pay attention to those little very powerful moment experience. And I'm looking myself to go back to that simple thing, without paying attention to what happened around or what has to be do. Just go in the moment. And I think that's how helping me. And that's why I like the people that you're bringing in about the human design and the gene keys. Is how helping me to to navigate a little more myself, to get in tune with us immense asset that we have, but we don't pay attention because we are caught up in daily duty. I can say that way. Daily duty. And then so much beauty, the trees, so much, the cloud, when I see it reflected in the lake, all those things that doesn't have. I remember one day I asked, I wonder how was the city, the Earth city that Andrew was talking about one time. And when I got home, I had so much cloud reflected in the lake that I couldn't see the water in the lake. It was just clouds, like a pink color, white, blue in the lake. And I couldn't see, it was almost 6 o'clock in the evening. I couldn't figure out where was the lake and where was the water because there was so much cloud reflected. I said, oh my God, that's the way how the Earth city are. Because it was like so much clouds, but they are clustered in different position and color that I couldn't figure out what was the lake, what was cloud. It was like a completely reflected, like the sky was in the lake. It was kind unique for me that. And he said, wow, if I can pay attention to you ask the question and then just listening and look instead to trying to figure out myself. It's kind.
I think that's the thing, asking questions and not trying to figure it out, or asking the question from the place of the answer, just having this open question. And then like what you're explaining now, that softness, that comfort, that is actually for me, it's living life as an adventure, that openness, that in alignment with your joy, like we've mentioned earlier on, and just acknowledging everything the way it is without having a particular, having no bias. Oh, it should be like that, or the lake shouldn't look pink, or that kind of thing, and I think that double meaning sounds double meaning, but using our imagination is part of another luxury that I'd like to just pin up here. Using your imagination and your intuition, and also like having lost our minds, like what I said earlier on, just allowing yourself to come up with that and just make it up as you go along. And one of the tools, and that's maybe even more interesting during the solstice time because of the energies that are opening up to us, is our dream time. Really looking at your dreams. I mean, I've been lousy now. I haven't been writing down any dreams for some time, but I just had an interesting one the other day. I was in a train station and buying a ticket, and I was very surprised because the guy at the counter didn't give me a paper ticket as he usually would. He gave me something like a pill that was pulverized, and he put some water in it, and I had to drink my ticket. But that's very interesting. I haven't figured out yet what that meant or anything, but I was like, that stayed with me. So I wrote this one down, drinking my travel ticket. So it's like, where the hell does that come from, right? And I love those kind of dreams, that sort of bring something new, even though it is weird. It was your dream, so you can't say no, oh, this is too weird. No, you did dream it. So it's okay. It's okay to remember those things, and maybe just keep those little snippets, and then one day you walk around, and not that somebody offers you a liquid, train ticket, but you don't know what's going to happen, right? It's the maybe. I mean, look at you were talking in the beginning, Tanya. You mentioned like the elements, right? All the elements are coming in here. We've got the fire, we've got air. We talked about water. There's so much blah blah about water at the moment, right? We've known that forever, that our bodies are 90% or whatever, 80% water. All of a sudden, people can't stop talking about water, plasma, all of that. Maybe that's what was related to that ticket, maybe, reminding us of that liquidity. I don't know.
Something Hermania was saying earlier, it made me think of, as you're out appreciating the world, that she's appreciating the frogs and the lightning bugs and the crickets and the way that all of these beings are playing in her environment. I think when we get really still and hold that silence, then we can allow nature to reflect ourselves back to ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense, but it really coming up strong for me, allowing that reflection, right? Within the silence, then you can hear other things, right?
Yeah.
Instead of always thinking, I've got to do this and I've got to do this. And it's
And, that's usually associated with meditation, but it's a different level now of silence, where you don't have to sit down and cross your legs and do all that. It's just often a moment of like a split second, right? Just allowing yourself to be silent. Just that. Doesn't have to be 20 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. Don't you find that, Tanya? It's that.
really helpful, and using that in conjunction with the breath to just breathe deeply. I was working on someone yesterday who has asthma her whole life, and after we were done with the healing, she sat up and she says, wow, I don't know when was the last time I breathed like that, right? And for me, it's just the prompt to just breathe deeply into your body. Continue to be mindful about the way your breath is flowing through you, right? And that's the way the air plays in our body. But those deep breaths, like how often do we, my sister says sometimes, yeah, I catch myself not breathing at all, just holding breath instead of allowing that energy flow. It's interesting that we're coming back to this elemental discussion because, like you said, everybody's talking about plasma, cosmic mother plasma, and the way the water is taking on this plasma to become something more than it is. But I remember the days, and I still use the violet fire. But I remember those days when the violet fire was everywhere, right? Oh, use the violet flame for this, use the violet flame for this, use the violet flame as a blowtorch to, burn stuff away. And I've been seeing for a long time, like when I'm working on people, the way their energetic blueprint is almost like lit up with white fire to help fortify the energy field. But now I'm seeing also the energy of water added to that blueprint, where instead of seeing like the white flames, I'm seeing in some people that sparkly diamond watery energy, right? When the sun is shining on water that's moving, you can see all those little tiny diamonds, sparkling on the surface of the water, reflecting the light. And so I'm seeing more of that in people's energy fields now, along with the fire too. And I was just wondering what air was going to look like next.
Interesting. Yeah. Would you say as we increasingly deprogram ourselves, that comes in now?
I mean, from my perspective, it's collective, right? It's almost like Earth is allowing, those higher frequency, new energies to transform her.
Mm, mm.
And consequently, we transform.
Mm.
So I think it's happening, with everyone now, and whether you're mindful about it or not, right? That's that's the other shoe.
Yeah, for me, it's a luxury to be. It's always been a luxury to be with people who are more spacious.
Mhm.
So less thoughts, less programming, less conditioning. But what I'm more and more seeing now is the luxury within myself is also to just, we talked forever, not having a point of view, not right, not wrong. And now it just really is like that. It's just like there's no longer this fixing, there's no longer having to make changes. So growth now has taken on a completely different dimension for me. Growth now is like, well, the dharmic growth. It's like this karma is sort of finished. There's always stuff that comes up, but less and less. And now it's really that imaginary journey of just allowing yourself to sit back, and the effortless, I don't know, conduct and things like that, and making peace with that. It's taken me a long time to make peace with working effortlessly, and as you say, it's not about luxury, is not about money, it's nothing is actually really about money. This is becoming really we were so conditioned to time and so bastardized by money and time, and now it's a luxury. Just do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to get money for it, and things like that. That, of course, by no means this whole thing is a receiving issue, and we talked about this a million times as well. Nobody says we shouldn't make money with what we do. Yeah, if we can receive it, I think receiving is another luxury here. If you have a capacity to just limitlessly receive, right, then that's a luxury. What can you create with that? Receiving the bad and the good, and not impacting on your inner wealth and health and comfort and exuberance and light and all of that. Yeah.
Appreciating the beauty, enjoying the silence. I think there's also a luxury in being yourself. Talked about all of the programs that run us and control us. And, you've come from a corporate background, and, Jen works at a corp. So I hear that too. I think I've been there, I've done that. And when I was leaving, it was almost like a permission slip to myself to just completely do me. Right. And I've done that for a long time. But I think the programming comes off in layers and layers and layers. And once you start really getting down to the core truth of who you are and embodying that on a moment to moment, day to day, week to week basis, right, your perspective will shift, right? It's like that permission slip for yourself to just be you, to do you, right? And I think there's like a lot of luxury in that, right? Letting go of the perceived judgment about what that means. Here we are, all of us walking the path less traveled, the path less ordinary, right? Not playing into what we're supposed to do, whether that came from our parents or whether it came from society or our peers, right? It's all that energy trying to force us into that box. Like, here you go. This is how, if you check all the boxes, if you behave like this and you're doing your job, making good money, and you're paying your taxes, and you're you know, you're part of the political process, or you know, there's so many directives that box us into that certain way of thinking, that we can, when we can let go of that, we just, what do we find? We find ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. The luxury of living outside the norms, the given norms, the what's it called, the unnatural norms that have worked for us. Nobody says they haven't
Mhm.
worked. We've all done it. We've all been there. We've all, you know. And what if they have changed now? And I think there's an element, as you're talking as well, there's this the luxury of being alone. Talking about being within a relationship and with other people and collaborators, but also there's a luxury in hermitry, which I've been really, 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 really enjoying of late. You know, that hermitry, without losing yourself and never want to talk to them again, is just being in the moment. Wherever you are, that's where you are right now, you know. So I can talk here for 5 hours and then I don't talk for the next 5 hours. That kind, enjoying the luxury of aloneness and not feeling done by being alone or feeling rejected. You know, all these rejection issues that we used to have. Certainly I had. Gone. Luxury, being alone. Luxury of choosing to stay at home. Yeah.
Yeah, there is that luxury of being in your own energy. Sure.
What is it in this case that you're talking about, Martina? And because we had different one, let's say I had this facets that I can call this moment or lifetime space or whatever. If we are multidimensional being, and then I guess from my point of view, it's like to be able to accept the moment, what experience in this particular time and space, wherever I am, or wherever I go, without be expecting the neededness, or to be a company for somebody, or doing something, like Tanya said, just join the nature. And it's like, for example, the paint that I saw that you share, that paint connect me with the DNA, you know, the strand of the DNA. But if somebody else look at it, you won't get that experience, because it was not, I guess the pain is manifest itself to whatever the person look at it that need in the moment. It's not like this pain is particular for this, or I pain and this was it came. It was like I saw it, and immediately I connect me with the DNA information that now we know DNA is programmable, is information, is light encoded information, our DNA. And then in that moment, I felt was like, you know, like goes through that string of the DNA. And in that moment when I saw it, I didn't think about it. I didn't look at it. It was just like a suddenly look, and then that's what came to me. But maybe 1,000 people can see it, but they're going to see 1,000 different perspectives, because whatever we are experiencing in that moment, the code in that moment, the information, particular information for unique experience that everybody is doing. And I don't know, it's I try to look myself in the way how I can open myself to understand that me that is in this physical body right now had to be open to 1,000 millions of information that in this moment maybe I don't understand. However, is the existence or different experience is there, even that is not connected with who I am right now. And it's like okay, now I'm in the water, okay, now I'm in the soil, okay, now in the bushes, now I in the jungle, it's like okay, it's like a traveling. The way I see on myself, like a traveling experience, and just like you put a different mask, different suit. Now I'm in blue, or now I'm in green, I'm in purple, I'm in black, and white. It's different time, space, transaction, and like translate myself in different level of knowingness and expressing in different matter. I don't know, it's like because it's kind of challenging for me just to look at it from the physical body perspective.
Well,
Because if
you're
we are
there
so
where other
much,
people want to be. I mean, you're talking oneness. You're talking, the singularity again, singularity, duality, triality, and then going back to oneness. When this is the gift, the luxury of considering yourself a shapeshifter or starting to live. That's the adventure. Using life as the adventure of becoming that shapeshifter. You are the drop of water. Yes, you are all of that. To perceive it that, I mean, that is just gorgeous. Yeah. Luxurious.
Yeah, and now the challenge is to just forget about the physical body. Even at the same time, you have to take care of the physical body, because we are experiencing the physical body. We have rules, we have regulation that we have to follow. The tricky portion is like not go to the extreme and be able to balance between one experience and the other experience, and what's possible in this moment without go all the way over there and not being here, or just being here and not being there. I don't know if I can express myself, but that's
No,
like
I hear you, but I would say that the body is the key, because
Mhm.
without your physical body, you wouldn't be able to have experiences and perceptions like that. Body
Yeah.
is the key. So you'll never forget about the body.
Mm-hmm.
It, for me, allows you to be grounded as a drop of water, to see it, to feel it, to experience it, to receive it, to perceive it. Without the body, there is no such thing, because there's no breath. There's no inhalation, there's no exhalation, there is no experience. So, other dimensional beings that are not living on this planet, they can't make a distinction between duality or singularity, or because they don't know. So without this is the gift of having a body, to have experiences and express, and the ability to express yourself as a shapeshifter. This is why they all want to come here, because they want to experience that. Not just eating cakes and drinking dinners and things like that. That too, I suppose, and have sex. Yeah, that's okay too. But this is the next level, the luxury of the body, It's not just the 5 senses that we talk about. This is that sensory perception that's now opening up, where you can see yourself as the cloud. You can feel it. Or like in Dreamtime, Jennifer was talking about, having this relationship, having this meeting with her dog. That's an extra sensory perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that will be our next step, just to find a way how we can position ourselves in the moment of what I'm doing, what I happening, without going to the front or to the back. Just the moment, like Jen was mentioned before. I think that's for myself, that would be my next level. Be in the moment of what's happening. That's now.
The thing with you, Herminia, is I've known you now a couple of years, coming on this show, and you're one of those people who are doing it. You're doing it all. You're being it. The luxury of you saying, I'm already doing it all. I'm already being it. I'm perceiving. There's nothing to fix anymore. You so beautifully, when she explained, the crickets and the frogs and this and that, you are it. There's nothing you need to do.
So I I mentioned it before that I did the Kuji Yin mantra series, like I did the whole program. And I don't remember in which one of them, but as you're talking about that, Martina and Herminia, when she was talking about like all the bugs and critters that make noise at night, like when you're talking about the lightning bugs, you called it by a different name, but I would call it lightning bugs. And they're just one of the most magical things about summer. And the ones here get synchronized at a certain time of the summer, and actually it is right about the solstice as part of their mating protocol, but like they light up at the same time. It's like watching Christmas lights in the trees. And when I was doing the Kuji Yin mantras, you know, a lot of times you sit there and it's a solid 40 minutes that you're chanting this mantra. Like you get all kinds of visions and messages and things like that. And the one that was really just about like the universal mind, the image that they gave me was the lightning bugs synchronized, and how that was me, and that was everybody like in my neighborhood dream time, everybody in the next dream time over, and it just like expanded to like everybody on Earth, and then everything outside of Earth, and how we're all synchronized as the lightning bugs. I don't know why I felt so excited to share that image. But when you're talking about that, those are you, the reflection of you. They're a reflection of the reality that you've chosen to express around you. And we are all that expression.
Yeah. Because
But
somebody
brings the magic.
Yeah. could have walked next to you and wouldn't have seen or heard anything.
Yeah, very interesting.
This is the reflection, the mirror principle, I think I mentioned it last week as well. The mirror principle is getting much bigger because it's now, and charts, This is why, I was so excited when I sent you that little painting. It's a tiny little painting that I've made. And because I had identified 5 artist charts that are working with me before I started my journey or during my journey, when I saw the drawing that I didn't do, well, of course I did it, but I didn't see it at the time the way I saw it after I had glossed it. And that was that artist chart coming through. And I was like, oh my God, that's a real cow. That's really like a cat, that kind of thing. That's what I saw. But the main thing with that particular painting was that I got myself completely out of the way. Completely out of the way, because it was just such a tiny one, and I had painted something else. I just painted black stuff over, did a couple of dots, wasn't interested at all in it. Put it to the side and only looked at it 2-3 days later, and there it was. And I thought, okay, there's another level of taking yourself out of the equation and really not even trying anything. Even though I tried this with my others as well, but there was a different level. So it was like I couldn't be bothered. It was just like black shit over top. That's it. Couple of dots. And there it was. That was the opening for him to come in and say, okay, now I can do something. It was so exciting. And why I created all of this for myself, and I was grateful to be able to share it with you. But that's the luxury of creating with your imagination and talking to your shards, and not making them a separated part of yourself, but just having this conversation, just like, when I wrote the book, I was talking to the book, just to, expand on the relationships that we have beyond the partner, the friend, the family member. Because everything you look at, they look back at you. Everything you talk to, they talk back at you. Eventually.
Remind you to be conscious of the company you keep, right? In your instance, I find it interesting that like I feel like you were really looking for something to bring back some inspiration for you. And aspects of you found that for yourself. Like you pulled that from within, something to inspire you.
Yeah. Well, I'm a master. I'm a master of doing that. I've done this all my life. Yeah. And that's not an effort. That's just who I am. And that's why I have the capacity to out-create everything. No matter what happens to me, I can always find a positive thing in it. Because I look at it from that perspective. But that's also my human design. I'm a trial and error. I'm a life experimenter. Yeah. Makes no other sense for me that, you know, that's why I often in the beginning, I didn't realize that people don't use trial and error. That's why mistakes I never understood. No such thing. Okay, girls, are we ready to do a little ad hoc extravaganza?
Great.
And everything goes. If you want to throw in some light language, you can do as well. I probably just paint the picture, the setting. And then what we do is, I was thinking, so I'm just going to start talking and then I will stop at some stage and then somebody else comes in and then that person stops and another one takes back up. And then we'll just see. And we need Herminia on board here. Where's she going? Where's she going? Oh, okay, we just lost her there.
Just give me 1 minute, Martina. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, no, nothing fancy. Anything, meditation, revocation, invocation, whatever that is, we're just gonna, whatever comes out, we're just gonna put it together. And losing our mind, the luxury of just using our voice, whatever comes out.
Getting outside because I was in the office.
Okay, cool. So obviously what we're talking about today is, you know, luxury.
Oh, white butterfly. I have a white butterfly next to me now.
All right, okay.
Very sunny day.
So I think I mentioned earlier the triple solar gateway today, the connecting of the sun, the earth, and the galactic council in the Milky Way. And let's think of it as a triangle: the sun, the earth, galactic council, Milky Way. And we are the I am avatar in the middle. And the idea is just have a dialogue, a communication, using our voices to connect to, do we have Jennifer back before I'm gonna start up? We're just gonna wait for, yeah.
I got them 2 messages and then I'll be able to participate. So I just need like 2 minutes. But you guys started on.
Do you want us to kick it off?
Yes.
Okay.
Kick it off and then like I'll be 3rd or 4th in rotation.
You just come in. Okay, cool.
But I'll do the language translation of what you said. Easy for me. Instead to say something.
What was that?
I said, what do you say? Whatever you say, then I will translate it on my like language. And that's why because I don't have to say anything in particular, right? I just follow you.
No, whatever. If you want to start whistling, you can whistle as well. No, it's just like, I'm just putting the framework together. Yeah, we are connecting to the earth, we're connecting to the sun, we're connecting to the galactic council, right? So, and as we are just thinking about that, just perceive yourself in the middle of all of that, you being the anchor, you being the beacon of light. You are bringing together you know, the lighting bugs and the butterflies and the frogs from the earth and all the elemental beings and the water and the fire and the air and the earth from the earthly plane. We're bringing all the joys of the luxury together, what we were discussing, the comfort and the silence and the breath and the beauty and the shape-shifting capacities and the elegance and the extravaganza of living life as an adventure. And then we're looking up to the sun. And we inviting our ancestors from the solar plane to connect to all that earthly pleasure, to that earthly luxury, to the treasures of the heart and the soul, and as well the outer wealth, the material possessions, you know, not from a significance perspective, but the joy of driving a car, the joy of eating good food, of living in a comfortable home, you know, and all those ordinary and extraordinary things in our life. And we're inviting our ancestors, and some of them, they still remember it, and some will have to have forgotten about it. And we just want to remind them of that and bring them back to us and connect with them, and also acknowledge their contributions to all of that, and open that dialogue, send out that invitation. And then we're going to the Galactic Council, to the Milky Way, and just connecting to our star seeds, connecting to our guides, to our soul sisters and soul brothers. And as we're bringing all those three together, we are standing firmly grounded in the middle as the avatar, connecting with our hubs of interconnectivity, connecting with our star communities, and working with those energies, inviting them into our lives to exponentialize our luxurious experiences, our expressions.
As the stork flies over the water, it brings a message of fertility, peace, and hope. Swirling around, floating on air. The element of air allows us to be buoyant with our breath. And as our breath flows out, creates the words that create our reality. And as the water flows through us, ebbing and flowing through our veins like the tides, we create our own rhythm in alignment with Earth, in alignment with the sun, in alignment with that higher harmonic frequency part of us that is part of the Galactic Council, holding space for the evolution of the universe as it gets distilled into a single drop of water surrounded by air, turned into steam by fire, and added into that cycle of elemental trinity, and planted as a seed for our future, for the fall equinox, for the winter solstice, for the spring equinox, all the way through the year to the next summer solstice. Holding that space for ourselves of love, of determination, of joy, adding into the luxury of beingness. We plant the seeds today to create our future realities.
Jennifer, you are muted.
There you go. They say, welcome back to the hub of interconnectivity, where you are never here, but you are never gone, because you are everywhere, always. Every seed, every cell, every ash, You are the God spark. You are in every atom of everything and being. Take heed and observation of the cycles of earth, of your body, of the creation around you. Allow things to synchronize. Allow space for the impossible. Know that everything that you want is within your grasp. Open the space for it. And then walk away and watch it fall in behind you. Appreciate the interconnectivity between everything in your environment, between everything in your universe, because you are all one.
Aho, sila namastika tuan, tanamakitu, champion la potsetta. Nasi siu ne kesmolak, usuna le mesekesi, undi simius, sagela makesama chips, apati, ele fisumatakan. Yo siemulu dismo kia, danio timi kia so, bongia.
We're here to
Ekini
thank. Go.
Yeah, nio. No lo kasimo si announced no la kama said ni pona mweket yo pismo. Mondi pundi bunda. What waka.
We are here to thank you to create that bubble of reality for us to join together and celebrate the energies of the solstice, which allow us to come together as a union and communion, as a community of friends, of brothers and sisters, a meeting of energies. I'm not even able to define at this stage. We have a joy and a peacefulness around us that we would like to pass on to you. And we would like to thank you for inviting us to join your adventures and your celebrations on earth at these auspicious times.
Amanakato ko, shatakata ka anamanapo, pakatakashkiki adomanakata. Celebrate.
Thank you. Yes, you know.
Just allow yourself the luxury of being you. It's why you're here. It's why we're all here. Be present and grounded with our own individual truth and dancing in collaboration with the individual truth of others, friends, family, random people. Let's see how that web of oneness works together, pushing and pulling. As we connect fully to ourselves, enjoy the silence within. Letting go of the need to be doing, and just be the human being in our tiny little corner of the universe.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you very much for playing, ladies. And go with love, go with peace, go with joy. And let's create new stories, new chapters, new books, new drawings,
Mhm.
new music. Woohoo!
Woo-hoo!
Aho, aho, salam
Thanks for
Aho.
being here, huh?
Thank you. Happy
Take care.
solstice, everyone.
See you soon. Happy solstice. Bye.